A couple new faces as head coaches in this league. One of them, Stan Drayton, who has coached under some really incredible. He was most recently the associate head coach at Texas, was the running backs coach at Ohio State when they won the national championship in 2015. For what you know about him, and there's been a lot of turnover within the last decade at Temple. If you're him, like, what's number one on my checklist?
Yeah, I mean, just get in there. You hear it said, change the culture. So Coach Drayton's going to want to do things his way. He's been in a lot of programs. He's coached for a lot of years, but you hit on it. It's the sixth new head coach in 7 seasons for Temple. I mean, this program is starving for some continuity, to get a coach in there to stay, and hopefully Coach Drayton is that. And I love the fact that he was a former running back. He was a 3-time All-American in college at Allegheny College back in the day, so he likes to run the football.
Giving some love to the running backs here?
Absolutely. So I got a feeling Temple maybe a little run heavy this year. We might have to ask him.
One thing that I think that we miss when we say 6 coach in 7 seasons, 6 of those seasons they were above 500. So there is a winning culture there.
Hence why they left coaches. Coaches left. They were successful and they just kind of moved on. That's just the nature of the beast.
All right, let's talk with the first-year head coach, Stan Drayton. Coach, you have coached under so many successful coaches before. I'm curious, what have you taken from your previous stops, from those mentors, that you take into Temple as you start your program?
Try to take everything. Hopefully I can, I wish I could take those rings that we won at some of those places, but, I'll tell you what, working for championship coaches, for example, Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel, you just take a little bit of everything from those guys. Urban Meyer was notorious for alignment, and I think that's the main reason why we're able to win the way we did back at Florida and Ohio State. Was he was able from top to bottom, both on and off the field, get a institution and a program aligned with one another, and create a culture where players are forced and challenged to win both on and off the field on a daily basis. And these are some of the things that really stuck with me in building this culture. I know alignment is definitely a critical thing for us, and also just building a team that truly loves and wants to play for one another. I think that's something that I've learned from a series of coaches along the way. But those would be the 2 major pillars for how we'll win ball games here at Temple.
Well, we appreciate you taking some questions. Let's toss it over to Chuck Sullivan, who's going to facilitate our media questions for you.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome, Coach, to the American. We'll get started with questions first one from Sam Cohn from the Philadelphia Inquirer, please.
Hey, Stan, it's good to see you. Want to ask about guy Xach Gill, who you described as an emerging leader back in the spring. Just curious what his summer has looked like, and where you think he's improved the most, both on and off the field.
He's healthy, finally. It was very obvious of the leadership traits that he was going to bring to the table. I could just remember the very first team meeting that I had, and not knowing his name, not knowing who he was, I just saw this one individual sitting in the front row staring at the back of my skull, trying to grab onto everything that I was saying. And it turned out to be Xach Gill, and he's a guy who has stepped outside of his comfort zone personally to make sure that, he does a phenomenal job of rallying the troops, making sure that they hold accountable to what it is we're asking our players to do. And that's basically stay aligned with winning championships both on and off the football field. And, he's healthy now. We finally overcame his leg injury, and he's doing everything full speed. He's got himself stronger in the weight room. He's lean, and he's got his confidence level back as a player. So he's an intricate part to the success of this football program moving forward.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Jayvon Edmonds, WHIP, please.
Stan, I wanted to ask you about transfers like Adonicus Sanders, Quincy Patterson, guys who came in, your first transfers once you got the job. How are they fitted into the culture and moving up on the depth chart heading into camp?
Yeah, they're phenomenal additions to this program. The number one thing that both of those guys you mentioned, they bring playing experience. They've been in the war before. They've been on the field, and they've were productive football players for their previous program. So also a level of maturity. They are guys who in those positions where we felt that we had to grow in a lot of different areas, one being maturity. These guys are natural leaders who don't flinch in the midst of adversity, and they handle their business both on and off the football field. So they're great examples for the guys that are young in that room that were trying to figure things out. And you know how it is. Anytime you bring a proven player into a room, you raise the level of competition in that room, and it's that makes everybody in that room better. So immediately the level of competition has risen in those groups, and everybody has gotten better from it in the off season. So we'll see what it looks like on the depth chart. They still have to go out there and fit our system and get out there and be productive. And it's not necessarily about how old you are and where you've been. It's a matter of how productive you're going to be. And so we'll see what that looks like in regards to the depth chart real soon here.
When Temple has success, it's usually because the O-line and the D-line are able to hold their own. How have they progressed since spring practices?
Well, I'll tell you what, the D-line is probably the most tenacious and the strongest group of leaders on the entire football team. Those guys have done a phenomenal job of building a camaraderie amongst each other. They're holding each other accountable. There's positive conflict amongst each other. And they're really a strong group coached by Antoine Smith. I mean, if you know Antoine Smith, you're not going to be able to step the wrong way without him, being right there to get you right on track. So those guys have embraced that culture, and I'm really excited about that D-line. The offensive line, obviously, in the spring, there was some shuffling of the deck. We're trying to figure out who's going to better serve us at certain positions. So their development was somewhat slowed down because we're just moving them around, trying to figure out where is going to be the best suited for them to help us win ball games, run the football, protect the quarterback, those things. And now that we're through the spring and we kind of got a better sense of that, they'll be able to kind of hone into their positions. But the one thing I can say with the leadership of Adam Klein and Isaac Moore, they've really bought into the development in the offseason in regards to learning the system, getting a better feel for what's going to be asked of them in certain situations, and rallying their whole entire group to do the right things all the time. So it's exciting to watch those two guys grow. I just can't wait to get to camp to see those two positions make each other better.
Thanks, Stan.
We'll go next to Rock Hoffman from Football Stories Magazine, please.
Hi, Coach. Good afternoon. You've mentioned culture already 2 or 3 times in this little segment we've had. Obviously, you weren't here last year, but have you gotten feedback from people that the culture is changing at Temple now that you're there?
Yeah, so I don't want to batter the word culture, but there were some things that needed to change, and I don't know what necessarily happened with previous regime before me or anything like that, but what I do know, learning from our football players, is where they need to grow, and we locked in and focused on, what were their strengths and what are their current weaknesses, both on and off the football field, that are either helping us win ball games or helping us lose ball games. And we address those issues, and we've been very vulnerable with each other in the process of doing that. And I think that that's brought us closer as a football team. And that alone, that closeness, that cohesiveness that's starting to develop within the team is the main thing that our players are talking about, that they feel awesome about. And they feel with that piece that they'll get that alone will give us a chance to, come closer and have a chance to win ball games. So, everywhere I've been, you don't win championships unless you're a tight football team, a team that's playing for one another, stepping outside of your individual goals that you have for yourself and making the team goals a priority. And I think that's the one thing that our players are feeling to be genuine. And if that's the case, then that makes me very excited about what the future is for us as a football program.
And you mentioned the offensive line, still a little bit of a work in progress. Adam Klein is a guy that's played everywhere. How does that versatility help you guys? Tremendous,
right? So we know those guys get beat up from over the course of time. And you're right. I heard somebody say, being a former running back coach, we plan on running the football. So, You know, we plan on being a very physical unit, and you know, when injuries happen from time to time, we can't get ourselves pigeonholed because we've developed a player one-dimensionally. You know, so to have position flex, especially at the offensive line, especially with a proven player in Adam Klein, really is a special thing, and we're going to play into that. But we're going to get Adam Klein settled in, and we're still going to cross-train those guys. But again, as you noted, to have position flex at the offensive line is a tremendous advantage.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Dan Tortora. Wake Up Call DT, please.
Coach, for you, for this Temple program, I know you were just talking about how some things needed to change. What was advantageous for you to be a part of this program at Temple and lead it, as I know that you and your wife obviously have a connection to Philadelphia, but why right now was it a good place for you to build and to change this culture?
That's a great question, you know, and a little bit of a tough question to answer, but the one thing that I'm excited about it being at a place like Temple, being an inner city kid from Cleveland, Ohio, myself, my wife being an inner city kid from Detroit, we can relate to where these kids are coming from. You know, we understand the dynamics of where our recruiting areas are and what these kids are coming from and what they're going through and what they experience and the things they've had to overcome to get to this opportunity that they're experiencing. So that alone helped us to bridge some gaps rather quickly. But this team was hungry. You know, they're hungry. They carry a chip on their shoulder. They carry an underdog mentality that can be used as a positive. And, you know, I kind of was that type of a player, you know, Division III player that, you know, felt that he was overlooked or whatever it may be. And I created these experiences and made them an edge for myself, you know. And I think these kids carry an edge. And that's always been Temple. You know, I've always looked at this place, you know, from the sideline and watched the product that was put on the field and the physicality that they brought to games and, you know, the toughness, the grit that they brought to games when they were winning football games around here. And I tried to, you know, be that as a coach, and that's what I was as a player. So that alone right there allows me to kind of stay within who I am, and these players are buying into that.
We'll go next to Leo Hagerty, please.
Coach, when you come into a program where John Chaney was an icon, and he would practice at 6 o'clock in the morning just to make sure his players got out of bed and then went to class. Are you talking about doing anything like that to try and change the culture?
No, we're not talking about it. We're doing it. That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, we practice in the morning, and you know, once they take the helmet off, we're deep in their lives, making sure that they're doing the things, making the right decisions that continue to help us win championships both on and off the football field. And that's what this place is. You know, we take pride in developing the whole man, and that's exactly what Chaney did. And to sit here and have a head coach in Aaron McKee who actually played for Chaney and see him go to work every day and see the influence that someone like Chaney had on him just reemphasizes exactly the direction that we need to go in the development of the whole man in this program. So absolutely, that's exactly what we're doing.
Coach, quick follow-up to that. The bad news is your closest rival is Navy. The good news is your recruiting area, 150 miles in any direction, you're pretty much the Division I program. How much are you recruiting the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area?
Those are our footprint. You know, those are tremendous areas for us. We're hitting those areas hard. You know, we feel as though from New York all the way down to the Virginia area and cherry pick through Florida is where we've got to make our hay. You know, so those areas in the past, if you just look at the tradition of the history of Temple football, that is where when they were winning, they've got a bulk of their football players. So Jersey's a very talented football state. Tremendous talent comes out of there every single year. Obviously, Penn State and Rutgers have done a good job of picking those guys out. And even when I was at Ohio State, we labeled that Jersey, New York area as a key area for talent. You know, got Curtis Samuel out of there when I was at Ohio State from New York City. You know, so we got to tap in there. We got to go in there and compete with those schools. And present this Temple brand and show them that, that everything that they want out of football and education that they can get right here at Temple.
Okay, we'll go to Kyle Nash, Black and Gold Banneret, please, for the next. All right, if no Kyle, we'll go to Trace Trilko, please. Next one.
Coach, for this to be a successful season for you, what are you going to need to see from your defense?
Physicality. We got to hit people in the mouth. We got to do it often. Obviously, negative plays, creating negative plays, creating turnovers. And these are things that I think our defense are well capable of. These are things that they showed in the spring. That's the one thing that I think that can become a reality during a real game. So it starts with the defensive line. Our D-line coach has done a phenomenal job of getting these guys to buy into an unselfish way of going about business. Our defensive coordinator, DJ Elliott, has brought in a phenomenal scheme that, not only causes problems systematically to offenses, but allows our players to cut it loose. Very simple way of installing. They understand it. They believe in it. At any given time, a certain scheme can be called, and anybody on that defensive side of the ball can be the playmaker for that given call. So our players have bought into that, but creating negative plays, creating turnovers, and just being extremely physical will give us a chance to win ball games on defense for sure.
Appreciate it. First-year head coach Stan Drayton bringing back that Temple toughness. Excited to watch you guys start things soon in the 2022 season. Have a great fall camp.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Rini, it's something that has been known for this Temple team is that toughness,
Yeah.
and he mentioned it. We saw some of the drill work that they had done. It's the identity of what this program has been built on.
He's going to bring it back. He mentioned it. Coach Drayton has coached under some great head coaches, some great programs, and that toughness and physicality he's going to bring in. He's an old school guy. He knows, doesn't matter how fancy the offense is, how fancy the defense is, you build your teams from the inside out, interior line play, offense and defense of line play, and then you build out from there. He knows that. He's going to do that. They're going to be physical this year. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there was no, we're going to do this. We're already doing it right now. And the schedule is interesting because the start of the schedule is pretty favorable to them and a chance to get off to a good start. That Duke game will be very interesting. Lafayette, Rutgers, UMass up there, and then you go at Memphis, at UCF, and then the bottom portion of that gets tough when you have to go to Houston and then host Cincinnati.
But I agree with you, and I kind of feel like because it's his first year, it's kind of house money, right? You're bringing in, to use the word culture again, you're changing the culture, you're changing everything. With the physicality that I think he's going to play with, they only went 1-7 in conference next year, so I think they're definitely going to better that. 3 wins overall. Look for Temple to be markedly improved.
It felt like he had already kind of implemented some things. I mean, you only get a certain amount of time to practices during the spring that he could already felt that there was a cohesion in this team.
And one of his biggest gets, if you will, we've been talking about transfer portal, is Dejuan Mathis, the former Georgia quarterback who transferred to Temple. He was going to leave after last year. Stan Drayton comes in, is able to keep him. We talked about, right, sometimes recruiting your own players, keep him on, and that's a huge keep for him to have Dejuan Mathis there, quarterback.
And Mathis has been an incredible story, was originally committed to Georgia, had a life-threatening brain cyst that was discovered by the school's medical staff, had surgery, ends up going to Temple, has had some injuries as well, but excited to watch him another season. Last year, they failed to score more than 14 points in 9 games.
Yeah.
What do you think this offense looks like from a guy who is known to run the ball himself? I mean, do you see that run first out of this team?
Yeah, and I think they have to run first. Now, I think they're definitely going to improve on points per game. There's no doubt about it. But I think you're going to see a downhill physical mentality of running the ball, establishing the run and winning the line of scrimmage. And then from there, you can go vertical and get to the outside and take your shots and use the athleticism of a Dejuan Mathis. But talk about Adam Klein, right? He talked about that offensive lineman that's been around. And it is. The offensive line is that one group that always takes the longest to get the cohesiveness. So by them moving players around at different positions in the spring, and he mentioned it. It was tough. I think Klein's going to slide in there and play center. The kid has played every single position on the offensive line. So once they get some cohesiveness there, those guys love run blocking. They love the physicality. So I think they're going to be happy with what Coach Drayton does this year.
And you might see them throw the ball a bit because Mathis, I mean, he threw over 600 yards and 5 touchdowns during a 2-game stretch. So he has the ability.
They're going to do both.
To
Absolutely.
All right, let's get to some of the players that we're going to talk to. Offensive lineman Adam Klein, who we've been talking about, and defensive tackle Xach Gill. For both of you guys, we've talked about toughness, the Temple toughness that Coach has brought in early. Adam, I'll start with you. What are some things that you guys have already started to do to build that Temple toughness?
I think it just starts in the winter workouts, with our strength coaches and our strength staff. I think that's, been established early in our program now with Coach Drayton. He got his message to us real clear and certain right away. He just wanted, we can get back to that Temple tough mentality, and he wanted us to be great from the beginning. So, it started in winter workouts. It's led its way through spring ball. Running the ball, pass protecting, all that stuff, especially with the up front. Just being physical every single play. And then, it's led into summer workouts, and I'm just really excited where we're going and excited for this season.
We'll go right to questions from the media. We'll start with Sam Cohn from the Philadelphia Inquirer, please.
Hey, Adam, Xach, good to see you guys. Just for starters, Xach, can you kind of walk through what the transition is like to go from playing mainly defensive tackle at UNC to switching over to nose guard?
The transition has been, it's been pretty smooth. I'm pretty much seeing the same thing, just double teams, and it's pretty normal.
And then just for both of you guys, how much is the importance of leadership amplified within the locker room, especially under a new staff like this?
I think I think it's kind of our job is to really relay Coach Drayton's message to the team. I think we're kind of like piggybacking off of Coach Drayton's messages and our position coach's messages to the rest of the group, our team. I think that's a huge factor in how the team responds to Coach Drayton, because if he sees the leaders of this team are behind him, he's going to get the other players of this team as well. And I think that's the biggest part is if we're on the same page as him and the team's on the same page as him, that's the most important thing for our success.
Go next to Jayvon Edmonds from the WHIP radio, please.
Adam, you've been here probably the longest of anyone on the team. When you see the schedule, Temple is one of the only teams in the conference that gets the farewell games for UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston. Have you looked at those and circled them as those games that you really want to get the guys more excited for and send those guys out of the conference with the loss?
I think, definitely. You want to win every single game. That's part of football, especially with my last season, how long I've been here at Temple, it's kind of like an unfinished business where I want to get Temple back to where it was. Where I was when I was a freshman and a sophomore, winning ball games, getting to bowl games, and winning those as well. So I think, the biggest thing for me is, as a leader is just to try to get the guys all on the same page. And, I'm really excited about those games because we got really good opponents ahead of us and really good teams. And, they're going to require for us to bring everything we have every single weekend. And I'm just excited to get to play them, give them everything we got and show them who we are.
We'll take the next question from Brock Hoffman from Football Stories magazine, please.
Adam, you've played virtually, if not every position on the offensive line, just about. How does that versatility help, A, you as a player, and B, how will it help the team coming up this season?
I think, being able to play every position on the offensive line is a huge thing. I think a lot of, coaches can respect that and can really, feel comfortable with me playing any position, especially, with our offensive line coach, Coach Wiesenhan. He feels very comfortable with me playing any position on the offensive line. And I think that gives, a position coach and a head coach a lot of confidence, God forbid somebody, goes down or there's an injury, I could fill in somewhere on that spot on the offensive line, without, a hiccup being in the offensive line. So I think that's a big factor, just having that versatility and being able to play all 5 spots, is a huge thing for me personally that I pride myself on, and, something that I can help my coaches out with.
And Coach Wiesenhan's back, and I guess he was probably here when you earlier in your career. So talk about him and your relationship with him.
I love Coach Wies. He's been probably my favorite coach I've ever had in my lifetime. So I have a really good relationship with him. A lot of it's just built on trust and honesty. He's not a guy that, is going to, steer you the wrong way. He's only going to tell you the truth, and he's only just going to be honest with you the entire time. And Coach Weeze has brought some of my best play out of me, and I'm just excited where this season's going to go forward, and what he's going to get out of me and what I'm going to get out of him. And I'm just really looking forward to getting the pads on and starting to play football soon.
All right, thank you.
We'll go next to Dan Tortora, Wake Up Call DT.
This is for both of you. I heard Coach talk about the fact that there were some things culturally that needed to be changed from both of your points of view. What were some of those things that you feel like needed to change in the culture at Temple?
First off, I would probably say, just defining what tough meant to the program. We have 4 pillars, tough, meaning trust, unselfishness, family, and finish. And, that's what we've really been pushing in this off season. And I feel like the guys have definitely bought into that.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback off Xach, he's perfect in saying that, just getting back to that Temple tough mentality. I think we lost it a little bit there. And, I think, some of our opponents realize that as well. But I think, us moving forward, it's just about what we need to change as a program. And I think we're definitely on the right track in everything we've done from January to now.
Okay, we'll go Leo Hagerty, please.
I don't have a follow-up for that, Chuck. Sorry.
No problem, Leo. We'll go to Trace Trilko then for the next one, please.
For each of you guys, Temple picked in the preseason media poll last. What do you do with that?
Personally, it just adds fuel to the fire. Everybody has an opinion, but the beautiful thing about having an opinion is you can change it, and that's what we plan on doing. So.
Yeah, I think Xach hit the spot on that one. I think it kind of gives a chip on the shoulder to all of us. We know what we're capable of, and we know what we can do. And I think, like you said, it just gives fuel to the fire of, we know what happened last year, and we put that in the back mirror. And it's time to move forward, and we're excited for what we're going to do this year. And we have really good high hopes about what's going to happen.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Good luck fall camp. Excited to watch you guys kick off this 2022 season very soon.